Sight reading. Dun, dun, dun. Who here is terrified about sight reading music? Stick around and I'll give you 7 tips on how you can get better at sight reading music. Hi, my name is Liz from Cellomoji.com, and I give you tips and tricks so that you can learn to play the cello for all those moments in your life. If you're new to this channel, thanks for stopping by. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it so you won't miss out on any other Cellomoji videos. Okay, so the definition of sight reading is that you read and perform music at sight without any preparation. So that means you are looking at the music for the very first time and you are trying to play it under pressure. And that can just be really nerve-wracking. I get it. I used to be in that camp where I was just absolutely horrible at sight reading. I would get a lot of anxiety over having to do it. And yes, you really only usually get one shot at playing that new piece of music. Sometimes if the judges are nice, they may give you a second chance, but we can't rely on that. Okay, step 1, check the key signatures. See what's in there. Is there a lot of sharps? Is there a lot of flats? Can you figure out, is this a major key or a minor key? All of these things is going to help you figure out what this piece of music should sound like. So definitely make sure you check the key signature. Step number 2, make sure you check out the time signature. This is also really important because it'll help with some of the counting. If you know that it's in like 4/4 or 2/2, you know kind of approximately how it feels, which is very different than if it was like a 3/4 time or 6/8. So taking a look at the time signature will also help. In the same vein, make sure to take a look if there's any markings of tempo. Does it say allegro, andante, moderato? You kind of want to get an approximate feel for how fast should this little piece of music go. Step 3, take a quick scan of the piece of music and try to notate, are there any unusual notes in it? So what I mean by that is, do any of the notes have like extra flats or extra sharps or natural signs in it? You definitely want to try to take a mental note of that so that when it's coming up while you're playing, you're not caught off guard. Step 4, also while you're scanning the music, take a look at, are there any unusual rhythms? Anything that you might think might trip you up. And this could vary from person to person, but regardless, everybody should just take a look and just sort of like think through, okay, how do I play this rhythm in this context? Like, how do you think it should go? You could probably even get away with maybe doing some air fingers, but just remember you can't really make any sounds because that technically counts as you like playing through it. So definitely try to like imagine it in your head, or maybe like do really light fingering where someone listening to you won't be able to hear what you're doing, if that definitely makes you feel better. Step 6, make sure you take a big old breath before you start, because probably at this point you're probably feeling a little bit anxious, all the silence around you, you really want to nail this, and more often than not, because we're string players, we're holding our breath and it makes us even more tense. So make sure you take a few good breaths before you start. Finally, give yourself a count off before you start. So oftentimes when we're starting, we're just thinking of so many things and then we forget like exactly how fast does this go? Like, what should I be thinking of? Should I be thinking it in quarter note beats or eighth note beats? So what I like to do for myself is I count off one measure in my head and then I play. It's just like, you probably may not even remember, but way back when you first started your instrument, a teacher was probably like 1, 2, ready, go, right? And that in itself was the count off of how fast they wanted you to play and to get yourself ready to play. So you just have to do that for yourself now, whichever the time signature is, you know, if it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, play, or 1, 2, 3, 4, go. You know, all of these things will really help you get ready and feel nice and steady while you're playing. Also remember that when you are playing, you have to go just a little bit slower than you think. Now, I tell this to all of my students. They have in their head what the final tempo of the song should be, and that's great. But sometimes we forget to factor in that our adrenaline will actually make us play even faster than we need to go. So make sure that you have in your head what your tempo should be, but when you actually play and start playing, you go just like 1 or 2 clicks slower than you think. And I guarantee you adrenaline is just going to carry to carry you to the tempo that you want to go at, but make sure that you don't start like, okay, I need to go really fast, because then adrenaline might actually carry you faster than you want to go. So there are a few things that you can use to help you practice sight reading while you're at home. You can take any etude book and just quickly glance at like a line of an etude that you may not have played before. For cello players, there's a book called Schroeder, which has just all of these etudes in it, and there's like multiple volumes as well, so that's a really great one to practice sight reading with. So you don't have to read the entire thing, you're just practicing like one line one day, the next day practice another line. You can also practice, if you have a piano book, practice reading through the left hand of the piano book. That is actually another great way of reading through and trying to figure out exactly how it goes. Old orchestra music. So sure, it may not be technically sight reading, but you can actually take a look at some orchestra music parts that perhaps you haven't played in a long time, and that is actually really good practice too, because you only really have one shot to make it happen. IMSLP. So this is a website that actually posts a lot of free scores that you can download at your own risk off of that site. So I actually recommend, if you wanted to just take a look at music for your instrument off of that site, you can definitely do so and download and just start sight reading some of that as well. A music library. So some of you guys may not have access to a nice music library, and I get that, but a lot of the times you should check to see if your public library has a connection to a university music library, and through that you can actually go and browse through the library and actually just borrow some pieces of music for free, and then you can return them when you're done. And that's kind of a really great way of just like randomly picking some piece of music and practicing your sight reading and then moving forward. Okay, so when you're sight reading, you really have to remember you only get one shot at it. So once you start playing, you just have to keep going. You can't stop. You can't stop and then like restart the excerpt again, and you can't stop and be like, oh wait, you know, you don't want to give any verbal cues that you are feeling uncomfortable. You just literally have to start and play through to the end. So some of these tips are definitely going to help you feel more comfortable with that, but just make sure you keep practicing it, and I guarantee you will feel more comfortable doing sight reading. So just remember that with sight reading, there is a high chance that it won't come out perfect, and you have to kind of be okay with that. If you get caught up while you're playing that you made a mistake and then it sort of slows you down or makes you stop, then in a sense you'll never really get comfortable with sight reading. Sight reading is exactly what it is you just get one shot to play all the way through it, and whatever comes out, comes out. So that's why before you start playing, you want to use some of these tips to help you feel more comfortable. Question of the day: how comfortable are you with sight reading? Leave in the comments below if there's some tips that you do to help make sight reading a little bit easier for yourself. If you like this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it if you haven't already done so. If you'd like to check out some more tips videos or perhaps some cover videos, I'll leave the links right over there. And thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!